Hey, welcome to another edition of the Beyond Sight podcast. I'm your host, Hassan Clay. And of course, I got an interesting show for you today. So we're going to jump right into it. I want you guys to understand something. A surefire way to identify a person who's entitled, who feels entitled, is not by the things that they say, but by how they accept no, the word no. All right. Now you may think, man, okay, that was pretty interesting. Hassan, explain a little bit more of that. We're encountering in this culture, right? This culture that we're living, we are encountering a multitude of people who walk around with what looks like entitlement, which is another form of high conflict personality traits, this entitlement. We find a lot of people who are walking around like this, and you can identify them. And there's some key markers or key things that are taking place when you're looking at dealing with someone who has uh, entitlement issues. Now, here's the thing: you may be a person who's also walking around with entitlement issues. So always first look at yourself first before you start looking at other people. Right? We want to make sure that we take some accountability, right, for ourselves. And I want you to understand this whole accountability piece is not this idea of, yeah, I know I said I was wrong. That's not accountability. That's a confession. All right. We're not talking about confessing. We're talking about how you're going to do something different after you have acknowledged that you are wrong about something, right? But in people who suffer from entitlement syndrome, if you will, or this entitlement mindset, they tend not to don't want to do that, right? But here we go. We want to look at this situation, right? So when dealing with someone who has this entitlement mindset, one of the things that they're going to do is when they hear no, they're hearing rejection, right? Now, if you are a person who is trying to stand on what we say, stand on business, right? If you are that person and the person that you are dealing with, they feel like you owe them or that it's their right to have this, or and this is the language that they will use, right? What you may owe them, what it is you might feel like they have a right to have, or something's wrong with you because you're not living up to my expectations. When you are then telling them no, that this is not what you're getting ready to do, and even you present something else to them, they don't hear that you're actually trying to negotiate your situation with them, that you actually want to give them, extend to them some type of mercy, even though you're not finna feed into all that. You're trying to extend some type of mercy. They don't hear that. They hear that you're rejecting them. And what does this rejection look like? Right? This rejection is like, oh my God, he just don't want to do anything that I ask. Or she just don't want to follow suit. She just don't want to obey. Or and y'all hear this language before, right? And so, and that's not the case at all. But this is what they're telling themselves in order to hold that level of entitlement, right? This is what they're saying to themselves. Because you got to remember now, part of this conversation, the conversation they're actually having in their own head. It's not about what you're actually saying, right? It's about what they're actually telling themselves because they have told themselves that they have this level of this prima donna or this prince or princess mindset or whatever, that they are entitled to a certain level of living, right? Existing, right? We ain't even talking about living. We talking about just existing. They are entitled to this certain level of existing. And when you say no, you're going against the whole rule in which they got in their head set up, right? Something got to be wrong with you. And you're going to get blamed. And this is where the high conflict personality stuff start coming in. Because you're going to get blamed. They're going to start becoming a victim because you're doing something to them. Or they're going to shift the blame on. They're going to have this long drawn out conversations with you. They're going to keep moving the goalpost on you and everything else, right? Because this is how they feel that they are entitled. They may even present something to you, and you go back and start, okay, you know what? I'm gonna follow that up. Matter of fact, I'm follow that up with one better. Then at that point, something becomes wrong with you because then you have taken, because it's still about control. Right? I still want everybody to understand this. This is also still about control. And when you are then trying to establish your boundaries, what happens is they don't they don't really want that to take place, right? So when you are looking at, hey, I'm not trying to do all that, I'm not trying to hear all that, something's wrong with you, right? So then next is your, really, in this sense, your boundaries become an issue for them, right? Your boundaries become an issue for them. And it's almost like, how dare you have a standard? How dare you have boundaries that I didn't give you? Because that's what it's going to come off like. You don't have a right to have these boundaries. I'm the one who established the boundary because I'm entitled. I'm the one who say that you can. And then what happens is, if you are then trying to just stand firm about what it is that you own, again, we started talking about the high conflict personality traits come out when the blame, the shaming, the victim shaming, all these start coming out. And in this, you're going to get start calling names. You know, I mean, you may not get cursed at. I mean, because some people don't have to curse in order to be demeaning towards you, right? They don't have to curse in order to be demeaning. It's just the word choice in which they are using to try to belittle you at this point, because what they really want to do is shame you. They want to little boy you or little girl you. You know, they're trying to son you, and they're trying to move you into a direction that then gives them the superiority position over you, right? And I want us to look at that, because this is what entitlement means. I'm here and you are here. And if you then start trying to, I got standards now, you ain't there, we really right here together. But then no, they don't want to be on the same plane with you. They need to have this idea of, I'm here and you are here, right? So then what are we to do? What are we supposed to do with that when you're dealing with somebody who has high conflict personalities, traits, and they're working from a position of entitlement? The idea of a step, this is, I think I'm just going to give this one thing, because you can nip a lot of this in the bud if you just do this one thing. I'm going to give you a list of things, but don't give you this one thing. You got to learn how to do that. Stand on business. If you have a boundary, stand on your boundary. Now, here's also the thing. Make sure that you're not just, unreasonable, right? I mean, everybody got to kind of check themselves, right? That's just called awareness. And this is what we talk about when we start talking about, conflict intelligence. The main thing is that we have to maintain awareness, right? I mean, even if the person is like, no, we're talking about relationship, but how about on the job? Right? What that look like on somebody on the job? I'm entitled because I've been here the longest. You should supposed to follow what I say do, and all these type of things here. When, okay, I respect the fact that you've been here for a while, But then you just ain't finna just push me all over the place, push me around and all this old type of stuff here because you feel like you entitled, you got this seniority over me that then allows you to just, like you dang near initiating me, right? And so you're going through this whole initiation mindset. You got me doing all the gopher things. You got me running here, running there, doing this, doing that, because you feel like you're entitled because you've been here a while, or you got the boss's ear, or the manager's ear, or whatever it might look like, whatever the case may be. You can't handle me, a grown man, like that. And I don't care nothing about all this. And I'm not going to lose my job and all this old type of stuff here because I'm dealing with you. Now, you may have some difficulties, because here comes the high conflict personality traits. They're going to do some blaming. They're going to say some things about you. They're going to try to turn the work environment against you, or they're going to do a variety of different things that then looks like you've been ostracized, right? That you looking like you the odd man out. And that's okay. Just continue to do your job and do the very best job that you can possibly do. Because here's the other thing in that. Everybody's not going to be on that type of time. Everybody's not going to be on that type of time. It's going to be some people because a lot of times, everybody have a gopher, right? They'll go for everything, right? They have a gopher, right? But you going to identify with some people who don't have those traits, and you're going to be okay. So you're just not going to be lonely in a situation. And sometimes when you are lonely, when it is just you just have to be in a position of just holding on to your beliefs and your standard of living, and just be okay with the idea that I'm my own person in this. And I don't have to be in a position of someone bullying me because they feel entitled. You just have to stand on business. And sometimes it does get a little hard. Sometimes even relationships, it gets a little hard because, for some women, their husband might be a little bit more overbearing, overpowering. And I ain't gonna tell you no lie. A lot of men are feeling the same effect now because it just become relentless. It just keep coming, keep coming, keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. Especially when you've been a guy who's been acquiescing in the relationship a lot. Especially when you've been a person who's been dealing with people who don't know how to respect boundaries. That they have an issue with respecting boundaries. They trample over everybody's boundaries, right? That is the entitlement mindset. They don't respect anybody's boundaries. They do what it is they want to do. They make a fuss about it, or they try to gather troops around and kind of shame you into doing it, to moving in a direction they want you to move in. All these type of things are taking place. You just have to maintain your boundaries. And when they get out of that, just remind them, hey, look, I think you're overstepping your bounds here. Okay, whatever you say, I'm willing to listen to what you're saying, but I think okay, it needs to be factual, not your feelings, not your assumptions, anything in nature there. When you come dealing with me, make sure your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed. Because here's what's going to happen with a person who has this type of high conflict personality trait. They're looking to use you against you. What that mean? They're going to find all the evidence that they can possibly find in order to make you look like the bad guy. because you didn't acquiesce to what it is they were talking about. They're gonna go get this, they're gonna go get that, they're gonna go get that person, they're gonna look at everything that you do, say, see, I told you, look, see, I told you. Oh, look, I know, see, they didn't do this, they don't do that, they don't take care of me, they don't do this, they don't do that, you know. She don't cook and she don't cook, she don't clean, she don't clean up the house, she don't do this, she don't do that, you know. But he don't pay all the bills, and he doing this and he doing that. And they would try to find any and everything that they possibly can find to back you into a corner. And yeah, that's a source of bullying. That's a sense of bullying itself as well. So, but when you are standing on business at this point, when you standing on standards, and that's where you are, then either one, they need to adjust their expectations, or maybe they need to remove themselves from the situation. Or even better yet, maybe you might need to remove yourself from that situation, be it a job, be in a relationship, or whatever. Now, I'm not telling anybody because somebody tripping to quit their job, right? I'll never quit a job when you don't have a job in the background. That's crazy. All right. So you might want to replace that job, give them your 2 weeks notice once you get ready to do all that. So you still got to be professional, right? And they might even feel victorious. Don't get caught up in them feeling like they got over on you, they ran you off, or they did all this and did all that. You know, don't you get your ego caught up in that, because this thing is also about having peace, and your ego will also be the thing that make you sacrifice your peace. Not that they are doing something, but your ego will be in a position of making you sacrifice your peace. So, and this is also the part of awareness that we're looking at. You have to stay aware. Have to stay aware that your ego is activated, right? You have to stay aware of that. Your ego is activated. And so when you then realize and understand your ego is activated, then what you will do is start putting yourself in check. Because not only you have to check someone else, but you also have to check you. Man, I don't need to get caught up in that. I don't need to run down them rabbit holes these people have and all that. It ain't really that serious to me. So, and if it is serious, you still have to check your ego, right? Because ego will run into arrogance. Arrogance and pride, you go into pride run into arrogance. And arrogance is going to make you do a whole lot of things that's going to be wrong. So you have to kind of keep yourself humble in that. Don't mean you're going to be a pushover. Just mean you're going to maintain humility. And you can still stand your ground and still be humble, right? Because at the end of the day, when you start dealing with people who are dealing with entitlement mindset, you're also looking at some people who have some character flaws, right? And the one thing that they're going to do is expose your character flaws because they're already out there in the open. They're already out there in the open, right? So they're going to make sure that they can expose yours to then take the light off of them and put it on you. So stand your ground. And you don't have to do that from an aggressive point of view. You just have to be firm and mean what you say and say what you mean. All right, y'all. It's we're gonna land with that one for the day. I really do appreciate you guys, you all. I really appreciate you all tuning in to Get Made Podcast. Y'all can be anywhere, up and down, scroll up and down, but you came in and shared that time with me. And I definitely appreciate that. So, as always, please share this content. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at Haas and Clay Experience. Also, connect with me on Instagram and TikTok. under the Hassan Clay Experience, and leave some of your comments. Hit me on the inbox, what they call it, DM or the inbox or whatever. Um, Leave some comments. Tell me what your thoughts are, and how you may have even experienced this level of high conflict personality traits when dealing with somebody who has an entitlement mindset. Also, um, Facebook, you catch up with me there at Hassan Clay and on LinkedIn. All right, y'all. I really appreciate you. And we're going to see you again next Monday at 7 p.m. Please be there. Set your notifications so you can see it when it come up. You can catch it. And y'all take care. Have a safe week. Have a great weekend. And be safe. We're going to see you guys, everybody here back next Monday at 7 p.m. Take care.